We're here in our garage. It's actually kind of cool because we've got these May mobility vehicles. We've got our shared mobility fleet there. Some of the stuff that I spoke about when I was a presenter at A2NewTech months and months ago. So it's nice to have had that experience and have been a speaker at this event, and now be standing in our completed structure and talking about it a little bit again. Our hope is that, and I got to tell you, I honestly feel like I'm like in some sort of dystopian movie, and we're planning the revolution, right? You know, we've got a little bit of electricity and a microphone, and there's a little bit of people in the seats, but we can do this. It can be televised, people. So anyway, I'll work on that for the next time I'm speaking at one of these things. We're working on this great project across the street. I know most everybody's probably familiar with the old Lucky's building, mostly because everybody loved it. And when that closed, it really stunk. We were all sad that it did. However, after a respectful interval of making sure that another grocery store wasn't going to occupy it, my wife and I approached the UFers and we said, hey, we have this really interesting idea to create a new kind of flexible space that includes different elements that, some of them are kind of familiar-ish with Lucky's, but then also a new thing. So real quick, that space is going to be a 8,500 square foot restaurant that's going to have 5 kitchen lines. There's going to be co-working space. One thing that I think all of you probably are going to be really interested in is there's going to be a digital production studio there. And we're going to really make an effort to reach out to creatives, designers, any form of XR to get into that space, so that is a digital production space that can really host events and expose our business community and our startups to what the possibilities are for those kind of enterprises. But a bunch of co-working space, a bunch of socialization space, and the perfect place to have to kind of graduate this gathering out of the dystopian underworld and back into the sunshine. So I'm hoping that this becomes something that we can do. And again, I'm going to really work on my jokes. They're going to be better. They're going to get better. We're going to do that together. Someday you will all laugh, and I'm really looking forward to that. The giggle here and there has given me fire, and I'm going to get there. So anyway, thank you all so much for coming out. It's lovely to see you all, and go NewTech.
All right. So thanks again, and really excited about the new community hub that's going to be opening up. So for tonight's lineup, first we have off is AmplifyX, then we have Air Room and ALTUMATIM to round it out. At the end, after the community announcements, feel free to stick around. They're actually going to open up a unit for you to tour and check out. So it's a really cool space, so it's worth checking out. We're going to have pizza delivered at 7:30, so it's going to be served in the co-working space over here. So food might entice you to stick around to chat, hang out with people. So those are all the announcements for me for now. The first person up is Adam from AmplifyX. AmplifyX is building the digital toolkit to empower creators to finance and monetize their work through their community by leveraging utility NFTs. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to Adam.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for everyone coming out, and thank you, Hein, for having us here. Basically, awesome. So what we're building is really the digital toolkit for the Web 3.0 commerce layer. But then what does that actually mean to creators? It means we're creating new types of NFTs, which NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which essentially are digital packets of information that provide unique ownership verifications. And what we're starting off with is access to content in the music industry. So access to unreleased music, access to one-on-one creator experiences, and ultimately moving towards securities and IP rights ownership. So in terms of what kind of problems that the industry faces today, there's a lot. One of which is just go next. So in terms of problems, you have creators make very little money, where the average musician on Spotify gets paid about 1/3 of a penny per stream. So that's about 3,000 for every million streams, as well as you don't own your audience, where Spotify doesn't, they tell you where your different people are located, but then there's no way to actually contact any of your fans. So what's really cool about Web 3.0 is you now have direct new types of monetization, as well as direct connections to those one-to-one creators. Then on a user side, you can access unreleased content, you can access new types of experiences, which I'll get into some case studies a little bit later. And also, right now, the NFT experience is really hard, where you need a crypto wallet, you need to pay in cryptocurrency, you need to understand how to interact with smart contracts in this Web 3.0 infrastructure. So essentially what we did is we created a solution that's as easy to buy an NFT as it is to buy a t-shirt online. And NFTs are starting as low as $5 in our marketplace because we're built on Tezos, which is about 2.5 million times more energy efficient than Ethereum, as well as the gas fees, transfer fees, everything is very nominal here. So you can actually build a more scalable solution. And in terms of what we've done to date, our first beta was with Junkie XL, who's the producer from everything from Mad Max to Justice League. And he creates the soundtracks to all these very iconic movies. So something that we decided that'd be really interesting with him, instead of just doing a digital art piece like we've seen in the market today, we created a NFT that we auctioned off called A Soundtrack to Your Life, where the winning bidder actually got to create, Junkie would score that person's life as a song. So then that ended up selling to the DJ Don Diablo, and that sold for $20,000, which was pretty cool to see on a very basic proof of concept that we hacked together on a WordPress site. So in terms of market potential, the creator economy is massive. There's 50 million people who identify as a creator. And right now, only about 22,000 people purchased NFTs in the last week versus 400 million people listen to music. So there's a giant delta where I would equate NFTs right now to how like Google ads and internet ads were in the 1990s, where we're just starting to see the initial adoption. And then when we can find products and new experiences that create that very simple to understand and use customer experience, that's when we're going to see really interesting things happen. I'm not sure. So in terms, monetization is pretty simple. It's a revenue share. Yeah, sorry about that. So monetization is simple. It's a revenue share. And then it depends on your level of service, where we have curated drops, where we actually have designers who help you create the NFTs, market them, promote them, and drop them. And then we have an open marketplace where people can actually just go and mint their own NFTs that they create. And then, of course, secondary markets where people can buy and sell NFTs that they've either created or curated. In terms of competition, there's a lot of players popping up on a daily basis. One of the big differentiators that we have is we have a vertically integrated solution. So essentially what that means is when you create an account with us, we automatically create you a wallet. You can also pay in fiat currency using a credit card instead of cryptocurrency. And we're about like I said, 2 million times more energy efficient than many of the competitors. Why now? Basically, I think it's the perfect intersection where creators now have intrinsic audiences that they can monetize in new ways. And these people want to connect with creators on a deeper level, where the average US consumer listens to music for about 27 hours a day, and the average Gen Z spends 3 hours a day on social media. So when you have this type of I don't want to call it an obsession, but an obsession with this class of individual, there's a lot of ways that you can monetize and extract a lot of different types of value. So our go-to-market strategy is through onboarding, leading. Cool. All good. Yeah. Yeah, of course. No worries. Appreciate it. We do not. So we're phasing it in where it's an approved only like marketplace to begin with. But then later this year, we want to open it up to everyone. But we want to get through our beta testing and everything. Um, mhm. So it's typically around 10,000 fans because when you look at the, especially, and our first vertical is music. So for example, we're actually doing a pop-up NFT gallery in Detroit next week on Wednesday if anybody wants to see this stuff live in person. So, and then you'll see some of, mhm. Mhm. So it means social followers, listeners, kind of anything. Email list, you can kind of, it's a little bit subjective in complete honesty. So the first vertical is music, but we want to expand to other creative spaces later this year. But we believe it's important to have a beachhead and then become the leader in something first. So that's something that's coming, but then even some of the musicians, they'll create little shorts and audio visual experiences that they add music to. But that's something that we'll be focusing on more in the future, I would say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's basically three main pillars where the first one is actually just onboarding leading creators since they intrinsically already have these large fan bases. And that's going to pull a lot of people into the marketplace. The second is partnering with entertainment agencies, management firms, different things like that, which then gives you the pipeline of creators. And then the third is actually having physical pop-ups. Because something that we think that's really difficult is even myself, it was hard for me to buy my first NFT because there's so much to learn. And I had so many different questions about it. And having some in-person pop-ups, I think we're going to get a lot of user feedback and be able to create a lot of really interesting experiences and understand what our user story should look like to onboard new people into that ecosystem. Mhm. Kind of both, candidly. So we have quite a few on our advisory board that have a lot of experience in the space. So for example, Kelly Richards ran music at Apple in the 90s and early 2000s, and then knows most of the different management companies, agencies, but always open to meet more individuals in that space. So that's actually something that we're deciding on if we want to have like a marquee auction at this event, because for the last digital event with Junkie XL, that one was an auction component as well as we sold some other art pieces and audio visual experiences. But you can really do both. So we are raising our seed round this fall. So it would basically be for if you guys have introductions to different investors, venture, and different things like that. Or also we're looking for engineers because we're trying to build our engineering team out. We have about 3 full-time engineers right now, and over the next 3 months, expanding probably to 6.
Chris from Airroom. Airroom is the next generation social media for families, no matter how many miles they live apart. So welcome Chris to the stage.
Did he just say another social media platform? Haven't we had enough of those? My name's Chris Budnick and I'm with Airroom. About a year ago, we started working on this platform. Actually, during COVID, when everything was so congested on the current social media platforms and the algorithms were leading us in different directions, I really just wanted to find out how my immediate family was doing without being tracked, data mined, and I wanted to remain private. I wanted it to be for my son, Cooper. Thank you for coming tonight. For him to be able to go into this platform, for it to be safe for him, and I don't have to worry about what he's being influenced by. Do I press the red button? The right arrow. Thank you, everybody. Who's presenting next? It's the right arrow. I'm going to give you a little state of the industry video here. I don't know why it's not going to the next one. Computer, there we go. That would work.
Every day, we consumers are spending more and more time on our devices and computers. We willingly provide all our digital and social habits that feed into and are stored on the big tech master database. Ultimately, they will use this data, you, as a product to sell. Yes, we users are their willing commodity. A commodity that can be manipulated to create a changed behavior or make a purchase. It's a formula and it works. As of recent, big tech is being looked at due to the negative impact it is having on society. And unfortunately, that includes our children. In 2020, we all got hip to the fact that Alexa is listening and learned that if you mention or Google a product, an ad for that product will miraculously appear on Facebook and Instagram. Future trending is telling us that people want a better alternative, an honest, private digital space where they can feel safe and secure.
All right, we're just gonna keep on moving on and roll with it here. So current social media platforms, we all are aware they're not private and they're cumbersome to actually be able to track and look at histories or memories. They automatically pop up. We see them. It shows us what we want to see. But as far as if I wanted to go back and look at my grandma's wedding or an event in 1950, chronologically, that's not going to be in order, and I'm going to be pushed in every other way other than what I wanted to be able to find. So we created Airroom. It's an easy way to look at traditions, memories, input family memories. It's basically a Dropbox for your family to be able to put their journey, their experiences, their memories into one location so everybody in the family can access it. I don't have to wait to go to my mom's house to look at the photo album, right? I don't have to wait and look at a picture of my dad and be like, hey, Dad, what is this picture all about with you with an afro? And he smiles and I smile, and it brings back a great journey through the process because we all have experiences we want to be able to share. See, I keep forgetting to point back to you here. Our market size, we're looking at 372 million families globally, focusing on Indian American diaspora, Mexican American diaspora, Gen X and baby boomers and millennials. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But we're in a partnership with Tufts University for what we're calling a memory pod. Reminiscent therapy is huge for Alzheimer's and dementia patients. We're focusing on that because that's going to be able to curate into these retirement homes, hitting into the impact of the Gen X baby boomer marketplaces as they start going into the retirement facilities. like to introduce Heirloom to you, if we have volume. Out of this system, be done. I know I'm being cut short on time here. I'm about to be cut off, I'm sure. So I'm going to try and fly through this as much as I can. We talked about the voiceover audios, family recipes. We really do feel that we're first to market in this. It's a different mindset. It is not data mining. It is not big tech. It's really a rudimentary concept, right? Mind blown. We're just creating a platform for you to put your data into that's yours. Else get to it, right? It's yours. You can download out of it. You can be done. You can pass it on to the next generation. There's a next of kin aspect. When you're done with it, it goes to the next person. They can accept it and carry on your own for your family or your small group. All right, let's do it. Yeah. Oh. Sure, yes. Yep. Yes. That's a great question. The question was how are we going to get the market share? I want to tell you today that I'm committed. I'm committed to the next generation. We have lived long enough with the younger generation taking the market share, leading the market share, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Teenagers are dying daily from these challenges that are going on. Awareness is becoming more prevalent. I shouldn't say, restrictions will start becoming into play, and we're sitting in a good spot for it. As far as market share, you can sign up for free. Once you hit a trip line, at that point, you can start paying. It's showing that it's a benefit to your family. Yes, correct. So good question. The question online, should I reread that as well? How do people access the network, and does one family member set it up? Oh, okay. So you can download our app currently on iOS, Android, and you can also visit us on Heirloom, www.family. Our focus is making it as easy as possible, private, and that person about 10 cents a day for one family member to pay, that then at that point gives access to the rest of the family and the rest of your network to be involved in. Yes, go ahead. We are. Currently, we're on AWS. Right now, we're in the process of working on a decentralized hard drive. It's going to have a biometric scanner as well. So people can actually put, with their decentralized network going back and forth, they can actually put their information on the hard drive having the biometric access key as well. So then anything they want to share on this really focusing on people being able to connect around the world, right? So as far as storage and the more private information, we're working on the decentralized hard drives right now. Sure. Yeah. No. Our one ask is saying and really take the message to heart, because the standard of today needs to kind of change course. So we're asking for everybody to really think about that. Really think about the standard of how today's social media platforms have been running. Think about how the impact's going to impact the next generation. We may not need another social media app, right? But the next generation does. So my ask today is to think about it. We're looking for investment. We are looking for supporters. You're more than welcome to jump in, open up a room for free, play around with it. Give us feedback. We'd love it, right? We're really trying to have a positive impact on the culture. And then the other thing is that we just would love your support. Well, we can get into the team stuff. Let's see here. Well, I'll just let those be. We'll let it be on that aspect. Please feel free to look us up. We'd love any support you guys can give.
Last but not least presenter of the night, David from ALTUMATIM. ALTUMATIM is a software platform designed to help attorneys win a case by streamlining the process of finding the most important evidence. So with that, I'd like to invite David up onto the stage.
I'm going to hold on to this too, because I tend to walk around when I sign. And thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight, very briefly about ALTUMATIM. When I found out I was going third, I didn't realize I was going to follow not one, but two hard acts to follow. Congratulations to Chris and Adam. We both have interesting, exciting products. So ALTUMATIM is the only e-discovery app designed to help attorneys win their case. Now that's a mouthful, so let me break that down for you. E-discovery, as the name suggests, is short for electronic discovery. Discovery is the process during litigation when both sides gather their evidence. Traditionally, that has been a process of exchanging documents. You would typically deal with several dozen boxes of paper documents. About a dozen years ago, that process was radically transformed because now everything is electronically stored information. So now lawyers and law firms aren't faced with dozens of boxes, they're faced with hundreds of gigabytes of data. And that drove the cost of litigation through the roof. An e-discovery industry developed to service the needs of lawyers, and in 2019, $12 billion with a B dollars were spent on e-discovery. That is projected to exceed $24 billion in the next 5 years. Discovery that is available is designed or intended to help you manage and produce this mountain of data. None of them were designed to help you find the best evidence for your case. ALTUMATIM is different. And the reason it's different is because my co-founder Vasu and I, while I was representing him in a copyright infringement case, he wrote some software that was the basis of a startup that sold for a lot of money. And eventually we ended up in court because there were copyright issues over the software. While we were handling his case, he saw, and I think he even felt, some of the pain that comes with handling e-discovery. Because he would frequently ask me, David, can't we just do this? Or why don't we just do that? My answer was always the same. Software for lawyers is not that good. And any that is way too expensive to be using for your case. So we decided after his case was over, we were going to come up with something different. We were going to actually come up with a way to let attorneys leverage the E&E discovery and find that smoking gun. So we based that on the principle that it takes to win a case. To win a case, you have to tell a cohesive, concise, corroborated, convincing story so that you tell the judge or the jury, you are right and they are wrong. Whoever tells the best story wins. That's the principle behind the user experience and all of the analytics built into ALTUMATIM. The reason why it actually helps attorneys win is it is focused on results. It finds that smoking gun. It intelligently and instantly finds game-changing documents, which gives you a strategic advantage. If you know the key documents before your opponent, you have a huge advantage going into negotiations, going into deposition, certainly going into trial. You need to know before them if you want a big advantage. We do have reinforcement learning type AI built into it, and I like to refer to it as attorney intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because it actually learns what's important to the case as an attorney is working with and interacting with the system. It's easy to use, and that is critical to getting into the market because attorneys don't have time to go and learn how to use a system for a day. They want to pick it up easy, and we designed it, again, based on the principle of whoever tells the best story wins, so that it actually organically fits into how attorneys already develop their case. Now, I'm excited about ALTUMATIM, not just because it was an interesting challenge in order to come up with, and not just because the product actually works, but because the market for this thing is enormous. As I mentioned earlier, the e-discovery market is in the $20 billion range. If we capture 1/10 of 1% of that market, we're looking at annual revenue of about $20 million. We're going to be doing that by selling ALTUMATIM on a subscription basis, and the supply of potential customers is unending. Every year, 300,000 new civil cases are filed just in federal court. Some 16 million state court cases are filed that could be potential users of ALTUMATIM. When you consider that an average case lasts 1 to 3 years, that's not a lot of turnover, and you can see how the revenue just starts to grow from there. Sure thing. Yeah, right here. Sure. Yeah, the question is, he asked me to describe the market and whether there is already an investment community, or is this something that we have to kind of build from scratch? The market itself, there are several large companies. In fact, one of them just went public about 3 months ago that have these software products that help you produce or help you manage. They're really document management systems. They don't have in that. So those do exist, and some of them are acquiring smaller companies. There are about 15 or so pretty strong competitors in the market. The investors are across the board. I mean, legal tech right now is so hot, it's probably second to maybe fintech and who you're talking to. So there is a large pool of investors, and there's a lot of money being thrown at this stuff. In fact, there's an SPAC that is a publicly traded company that is focused just on buying legal tech, and I think their assets are in the couple billion range at this point. It's a big growing area, and it's only going to get bigger because more and more information is electronic. I mean, when e-discovery started as a thing, 12, 15 years ago, attorneys would agree, we're not going to exchange emails. We'll just exchange everything else. Well, after a couple of years, everybody realized you're missing all the good stuff because everything's going into email now. Now you got social media, you have texts. I mean, people now have to produce all the texts from their phone related to certain subjects. So the amount of data is growing, and it's becoming a more and more complex problem. Somebody had a question back there. Yeah. Sure. The question was that stakes can be pretty high, and in a case that is worth millions of dollars, how do we deal with quality control? Basically, we've designed the algorithm so that it finds the most relevant evidence and pushes that up front. Again, we want to inform the attorneys what's important to this case as early as possible. If it's in there, it will find it, and a user has the ability to search just like you could search in anything else. Keyword searching, you can approach the evidence. We designed it to approach the evidence in any way that a typical attorney is comfortable. Like Vasu just pulled up, this is our storyline module. A lot of people like to work from a timeline because, again, you're trying to tell a story. So there's a series of events in any story. And this allows you to create events. For example, this is using data from the Enron case. I don't know if you are familiar with Enron, but it was a big scandal years ago. And the executives of Enron were doing all kinds of bogus accounting and enriching themselves and really scamming the entire system to some extent. And what we did here was we created a series of events involving this guy Jeffrey Skilling, who became CEO at one point. He sort of mysteriously resigned 6 months later. Enron filed for bankruptcy 4 months after that. So just to show you how easy it is to use, so we created an event called Skilling Stock Sale. And all you really need to do is tell AlTUMATIM what you want to prove in court, and it'll find documents for you. You don't need to think about Boolean expressions or any complex search queries. So we literally could say, Jeffrey Skilling sold 500,000 shares of Enron stock. Did that happen sometime between he resigned in August and when they went bankrupt in December? It's really all you need to do. When you think about an event, like you're telling a story, it's all about who, what, where, and when. Simply put those things in. You tell AlTUMATIM, that's what I want to know about. It finds documents and it ranks them according to importance. We have over 500,000 documents from the Enron case in this database. And the number one hit that comes up based on that search is a trade confirmation showing on September 17th of that year, he sold 500,000 shares of Enron stock. It puts it at number one of the search results. I mean, that's the key. Just finding it is great, but putting it up front saves me time. I don't have to read all 3,000 results that it thinks are relevant. Once I get through those top 5 or 10, I've got what I need. I mean, think about it. When you search on the internet, how many of you go to the second page of hits? You'd never go past the second page. You hardly even get to the second page. We took that mindset when we set up our algorithm so that it will boost everything up, put the most important stuff up front. And that's where the real advantage comes through. Yes. Yeah, the question is, where does the data come from? For our demo purposes, the Enron data is publicly available. Right. Okay, so the question is, how do you get the data you need? Like, for example, from the other lawyers. You are obligated in a lawsuit to exchange information. You cannot use anything to support your case if you don't provide it to the other side first. That's part of the discovery process. So like in a typical case, my client will have 50 gigs or more of data that we can process through ALTUMATIM and prepare it, and we can produce it to the other side. We then get their data, and it can be native files, it can be load files, it can be CSV. It doesn't matter the format. Our pipeline is really powerful. It can take in anything. So we get their data in, and we put it into ALTUMATIM. Our clients are the attorneys, the law firms, or the corporations involved in the lawsuit. So they're giving us their data. I mean, they're hiring us, they're subscribing to our system, and then they're using it with their data and with the data that they get from the other side. And what's interesting about, I think, why nobody else has tried to solve the problem that we've solved is because the data in every case is different. It's unstructured data. There's no model you can build to train it to do certain things. Now, you can train it to recognize a brief or a contract as a form, but what we had to do, what was really challenging and fun, and the way I like to describe what we did is we came up with a way to superimpose structure on top of unstructured data so that it actually is searchable in an extremely easy way.
To mention what your one ask was for the community? I did not. Selling, so we are building our sales. We are looking for.
Question was, what is our ask? And our main ask, we're primed to sell at this point, and we're building our sales team. So we are looking for anybody, especially if you have SaaS sales experience, please contact us. Thank you.
Okay, so those were our presentations tonight. So we're going to move on to the announcements section. So if you have a meetup that you are running that you want to announce, if you are hiring, just like David was kind of mentioning there, anything that you want to mention, feel free to come up on the stage, I guess, like queue up and do your announcement. If anyone online has an announcement, just write into the chat and I'll just read it out to folks. The quick announcement I'll make here is that our next A2NewTech will be on October 19th. We'll continue to host it here. Eric gave me a thumbs up, so I think this was a total disaster. Feel free to sign at a2newtech.org. Currently, always looking for you to share with the community. As you can kind of see presentations tonight, there's some, your startup should be well ideation phase, probably into like MVP stage. So having some customer interaction with the platform. But reach out to me, and there's going to be a short questionnaire for you to take and make sure that your business is in the right place. But we would love to have you. If you know anybody who should be presenting, it's good practice for the presentation. Get that down, especially going to go out there and ask for investment money. So send them my way, and we'd love to have them present. So anybody who has an announcement, feel free to come up to the stage. If not, what we're going to do is the pizza is going to be coming at 7:30, so we can just kind of hang out. I think, Eric, you're going to have a unit to show folks if people want to check it out. Cool. All right, so the stage is for anybody to announce anything that they want. I'm going to check.
Want to promote promote at A2NewTech. I want to promote A2 Tech 360, which is happening October 1st through the 8th. There's over a dozen events, virtual and in person, free, and some that cost money. And the cool thing is behind me, you see the May Mobility vehicles. If you sign up to participate in A2 Tech 360, you get to ride in these. So they'll be open to the public October 11th, but the week of A2 Tech 360, you can ride in these vehicles, and it's a really cool thing to do. So check it out. Just put that on Google, and we've spent a lot of money and gotten funding from Google AdWords, so it'll appear when you Google it. Thanks. It's it's called A2Tech 360. So it's Ann Arbor Tech Trek. It's in our 7th year. And the first year was just an opening of about 20 companies in downtown Ann Arbor. And our second year, we added a tech talk. And then every year we keep adding more events. So we have a dozen events that are mobility and tech focused, that are online, virtual, and in person. Our signature event is happening on Friday, October 8th in a art fair fashion. We're gonna have tech companies open their doors on Liberty. The street's gonna be closed off and you'll be able to go and check out their booths. So that's our signature event. And then we have a mobility event. And then we have events that May Mobility will be participating in, and you can ride their self-driving vehicle in downtown Ann Arbor. So it's a really cool event. I recommend checking it out.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I know Hein, which I love that you always do the Heinz without the Z. It's the best way. It's very quick to learn it. I work for Kaepernick Insurance Group. I sell small business insurance. I work with a lot of startups here in Ann Arbor. If you guys are ever in need of anything like that, please reach out to me. I also work, Chris is my client. And so, you can obviously give you a little more information. And I helped Chris for Adam, for you guys too. There's a podcast called Startup Nation, hosted by Jeff Sloan. It's in conjunction with WJR. And he's a great guy, and he's always looking for interviews to do with small businesses and startups. And so happy to connect you guys to Jeff Sloan. Chris did it a couple of weeks ago. And it usually plays, it plays through WJR, and a lot of times it plays on WJR's flagship Paul W. Smith show. So I'm happy to connect anybody with them. So thanks for having me.
So I'm going to just read those out. Eastern Michigan University Center for Digital Engagement has a full schedule of events coming up this fall. We invite you to join us online Monday, October 4th for our Connect with the Digital Summer Clinic session as part of A2 Tech 360, as well as their annual digital marketing workshop from November 8th through the 12th. There is an Eventbrite link. I'm going to add that to the meetup chat, so you guys have that. And then Mamta is from a Ross spinout, Good Business Analytics. They're looking for beta testers for their assessment and job matching technology, looking for hiring managers, looking to hire service industry, frontline workers. Any leads would be helpful. She provided her email, which I'm going to share into the meetup chat. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. And I think we're looking forward to having Mamta present not too far in the distant future. So, any other announcements from folks? Yeah.
Luis, I wanted Jennifer Olmsted from Spark to go first, because A2 Tech 360, and if I looked up the website, so A as in the alphabet, number 2, tech, the word tech, 360.com. So for folks who need to look that up, it's a ton of events. It's a whole week of events. And of course, and so I run the Venture Accelerator at University of Michigan Office of Tech Transfer. So I'm a native startup supporter of all sorts. But a lot of startups that's been out of University of Michigan are hard tech. I.e., be that computer chips, be that complex tech, be that complex materials, be that healthcare. And so for folks who are particularly interested in hard tech, not necessarily software, the event that I have personally supported very much over the last couple of years is Tech on the Edge, which is the Thursday, October 7th, I'm done. And so that is at MIHQ, which is a startup incubator on the edge of town. If you don't know about MIHQ, Michigan Innovation Headquarters, one of my co-opetition, I would say, friendly competition, startup incubation space. It's going to be a pretty big party, actual in-person party. So for people who are interested in startups and seeing people face to face, that's going to be fun. And then doubling down on what Jen said, Tech Trek on Friday is amazing. And some of the companies that would otherwise exhibit at Tech on the Edge are going to join in on Tech Trek. So if you do nothing else, do Thursday and Friday. But as University of Michigan, we're also going to do the Distinguished Innovator Award. Yay! You do want to see like awesome science coming out of University of Michigan. So look up all of the events. There is Women in Tech. There is an Angel Summit. There's all sorts of things. That is the 1 week I tell investors from all around the country, if they're coming to Ann Arbor, that week of first week of October is the week to be in Ann Arbor. You're already here, be there.
Very convincing to get everyone to go to A2 Tech 360 and really fun. So definitely check it out. So with that, I think that concludes our first hybrid live in-person virtual A2 Tech 360. I mean, A2 New Tech. See, I just kept saying it. So, so thank you for coming. We love seeing these faces. I think Diane kind of said it previously, like it's just a different energy being able to see people. Hope to see you guys come back out again. Again, we're going to have it here. So hang out and just ask any questions you have for the presenters, just meet each other. And pizza should be coming anytime soon now if you want to grab a slice or two. And definitely check out Forum. There's water and liqueurs in the back there and that cooler for you to drink. So, so yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming tonight.